Hey, g'day, folks. It's time for another edition of Pop Culture Bible. And today, as you can see, I'm wearing my Ben Hur hat again. We're going to do a review of the 2010 CBC miniseries of Ben Hur. And this is my Ben Hur book adaptation, the actual original reprint, of course, of the original novel. So we're going to talk about the Ben Hur 2010 movie. So I found this last weekend when I was visiting some friends in Windsor, Ontario. I'd heard about this, but never saw a trailer for it or anything. And this was a rare find. And so this movie stars Joseph Morgan as Ben Hur, as well as Stephen Campbell, and Emily Van Camp and Kristen Kriak are the main stars. But Alex Kingston and Ray Winstone are two, and Lucia Jimenez are three other big actors in this movie. So Ray Winstone, you might know from the Noah movie, which I will get around to reviewing one day. He played Tubal Cain in that. I believe he also played King Saul in the King of Kings and Prophets, the short-lived TV series that was on. And Kristen Kriak was Lana Lang in Smallville, and Emily Von Camp is best known probably for Agent 13, aka Agent Carter's great grandniece in Captain America: Civil War. So she's probably the one who's of all these the biggest star actually. So this movie is very different than what I expected from the when I saw the 2016 one, Roman Downey, Mark Burnett. We commented on that in a previous video. This movie is very different. It's it's over 3 hours long, so it was a TV miniseries, and by doing that, it really fleshes out the characters really well. I found, in my opinion. So what we have is in this version of the movie. We have Judah Ben-Hur, and we get into like a little bit of their childhood as buddies and friends. And then in this version of the story, of the adaptation of the novel, what happens is that Masala comes back for dinner and sees Ben-Hur after many years. He's the illegitimate son of a Roman general, and and to win his father's approval, basically, he wants to make sure no problems happen. And in this version, it's that it is basically Ben-Hur is a friend who wants to cause a riot. Ben-Hur tries to tell him not to cause a riot, but Ben-Hur also doesn't want to tell Masala anything. So he wants to kind of be neutral between both parties, between the Romans and the Jews. So he cares about his people, the Jews, but he also doesn't want to make noise for Romans, so he's playing neutral on both sides. And that actually takes off Masala a little bit. But what happens is that just in the book, it's a tile that accidentally hits the governor. And but in this version, I don't know about the book, but in this version, that allows the riot to happen and someone gets killed, but not the governor. And so Masala feels a betrayal and then throws him into prison. And so Ben-Hur is off to the galleys. And in this 3-hour version, it has the storyline that was subtracted from the 2016 one, which is that Ben-Hur is on the ship, and then he gets adopted by Ray Winstone playing the sea captain there, the Roman captain, and that becomes a whole story arc. That's a great story arc, and we have a gladiator scene, and it's really kind of cool about these inner politics and stuff. I also would warn Christian viewers who are watching this review, this is a 14A or PG-13 in the States movie. It's not a Christian movie in the sense of made by a church or something. There is some partial nudity in this movie, so you do see one of the prostitutes you see her breast in a couple scenes, very for a couple minutes. It's played as more as just part of the story in terms of she's an informant trying to get information, Ben-Hur. So it's almost like a cross between a PG-13 version of Game of Thrones or Rome, the TV series meets Ben-Hur. I think that's kind of what they were going for. I don't find it. I found it just part of the story, but later on, after that, you have after Ben-Hur's adopted father dies, he comes to Rome looking for. He comes to Jerusalem looking for revenge for Messala. The movie does a good job of taking this smaller TV budget and doing it in a way that makes sense for the story. So you do have the chariot race. It's not around a stadium, but it is done like in this sort of like almost like just this path that's designed in the outside of Jerusalem that they've converted into a chariot drag type track, I guess you could say. In other words, there's no Colosseum. It's just like people standing on the street corner along the path of where people would race. And so they do a good job in terms of all the acting and the actors. And I thought that it was well done in terms of the conflict between Messala and the conflict between Ben-Hur is much more stronger in this version, I found, as well. Little things that to me were just humorous. Ben-Hur never, unlike all the other movies, Ben-Hur doesn't have a beard, which is kind of silly in a sort of, I guess. And, we don't have the war drums in the ship scene, which I kind of liked, those war drums. But in terms of just action and pacing, there's a lot of great pacing. Jesus is still in the movie, but I would say that he's the part that just, from a cinematic standpoint, this is very love your enemies, Jesus, and that's it. Really, that his line is love your enemies. He doesn't do the cup of water that's in the original version is really downplayed, and they just don't show it that much. They also show Jesus when he's preaching on a mountainside saying love your enemies, and then Jesus when he's about to go across says love your enemies. So he's very repetitive. He's I don't know what kind of actor they got, but if you believe that Jesus wasn't the nicest looking person, this is the Jesus for you. I personally don't think that you have to have Jesus be an ugly guy, but this Jesus is very paint by numbers, forgive your enemies, forgive your enemies, forgive your enemies. That said, the ending of this film is much better than the Robert Downey Mark Burnett one, and so spoiler alert, what happens in this one is that Messala is dying, and Jesus basically, he does find his mother and his sister are lepers, and so he takes them to, they're going to go see Jesus thinking that maybe he can help or something. It doesn't work out that way, and what happens is that Jesus dies, but through the forgiveness that he encounters through Jesus, he goes back to Messala to meet with him one last time and forgives him, and they have a heart-to-heart. And Messala is not the one saying, "Oh, I will never forgive you. I will never hate you. I'll hate you to the end." It's Messala says, "You know what? I'm sorry for all I've done." Ben-Hur forgives him, but the consequence is still there of Messala dying, which I like that part at least. And like I said, neither of these versions had the whole story arc, which is because the epic of the novel, and the 4-hour version of Ben-Hur kind of almost turning to the dark side. But in this version, at least you have that sort of closure. I did find, like, in this movie, you still have the magic rain, which, again, not in the novel. Novel was Jesus healed them as lepers. But the magic rain makes less sense than in any of these versions, really, because of the fact that you only see Esther and Tirzah. Tirzah and Ben-Hur's mother. They're in a house or something, so it's like they just wake up and they're miraculously healed. But it's like, why? I don't know. You don't even see them reconciled with Ben-Hur. I guess they will be reconciled. I guess that's happy in that sense. So I guess they ran out of time. They said, "Oh crap, we're at the time limit because this is a TV miniseries. So we don't have that 2 minutes of extra footage time to show them reconciled." So kind of funny that way. But the movie ends with Ben-Hur reconciled with Esther, actually. However, the political drama in between, in terms of like Messala and Messala's relationship as an illegitimate son, and Ben-Hur and his adopted relationship with Arius, played by Ray Winstone, those are the strengths of the movie. And so I give this a high thumbs up. High thumbs up. I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10, knocking off 2 points because of the Jesus being really paint by numbers, as well as 1 point for the ending. Could have been a little better, but the ending at least is satisfactory, and it was a well-written, action-paced experience. If you like good action movies like Gladiator, I think you would really enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching.